Hi, my name is Ruth, and welcome to this tutorial on seventh chords. The seventh chord is created by adding another note to an already existing triad. It gets its name because the additional note is a seventh interval above the root note of the chord. I'm going to give you an example. Starting on C major, if we have a C major triad, and we add the seventh interval, which is seventh from C, so that's B, then we have four notes, including the interval of a seventh. So that's our seventh chord. As you can see, there's the interval there, and that's why it's named the seventh chord. Seventh chords create a more complex type of harmony within the chord, as well as making the chord more distinct. The major seventh chord is built up from the root note of the chord. In C, we have the C major triad, as I've just explained, and the seventh on top creates the major seventh interval with the root note. The notes in C major are C, E, G, and B. The C is the root note, the E is the major third, the G is the perfect fifth, and the B is the major seventh. Seventh chords, like triads, can be major or minor. For now, think about the seventh chords that appear in the key of C major. Within all these seventh chords that appear in the key of C major, I've just played the same chord structure with the same fingers, but going up a white key each time. So it all uses all white keys. Within those chords, we have four main types of seventh chords, and this is what we're going to learn in this lesson. For starters, though, we're going to learn the fingering for playing seventh chords. With our right hand, we normally play with the 1, 2, 3, and 5 finger. Or alternatively, instead of using a 3, you can use a 4 if that's more comfortable for you. In our left hand, we use the 5, 3, 2, and 1 finger. And it's the same in the right hand. If the fourth finger is more comfortable for you than the third, then that's also accepted. Familiarise yourself with seventh chords by playing through the seventh chords of notes in C major. So as I did before, think of the C major scale and start the seventh chord on each note of that scale. And you can keep going all up and down the keyboard if you like. It's quite a stretch to play seventh chords at first, but don't worry if you have to go quite slow to start with. The next seventh chord we're going to learn is the dominant chord. The dominant chord is when a minor seventh interval is added to a major chord. So there's our major chord, and then we're adding an interval of a minor seventh from the root, which is B flat. So that's a dominant seventh chord there. The dominant chord is normally built on the fifth note of the scale. This is because its purpose is to lead down an interval of a fifth, so it moves from the 5 chord to the 1 chord. So if we do this example in the key of C major, our 1 chord is C major, our 5 chord, the dominant chord, is G dominant 7. So that's our G major with the minor 7th added on top. The notes in G dominant 7 are G is the root, B is the major third, D is the perfect fifth, and F is the minor 7th. If you look back on our lesson on how to do intervals, you'll find the exact way to count a minor 7th interval in terms of half steps. So if we count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 half steps equals a minor 7th. So if you get stuck, that's a good way to work out a dominant 7th chord. So I'll demonstrate the dominant chord moving down a fifth. So we go from G dominant 7th down to C major. See how it sounds natural? Or if we do an inversion, it sounds even better. So it's our G dominant 7 and a second inversion of C major. So that's how a dominant 7th works. The next seventh chord we're going to learn is the minor seventh chord. Minor seventh chords are easy once you understand dominant seventh chords. Basically, a minor seventh chord is a dominant seventh chord, but with the addition of a flattened third note. So, to get a minor seventh chord, take the major seventh chord. So if we take a C major 7, we flattened the seventh note, which makes it a dominant seventh, and then we flatten the third note as well, which makes that a minor seventh. Here's an example in C minor 7, the chord is C minor 7, as you can see, and it's made up of C, E flat, G, and B flat. C is the root note, E flat is the minor third, G is the perfect fifth, and B flat is the minor seventh. So if you ever have to start one of these chords from a different point on the keyboard, like if you had to make a minor seventh chord from, say, A, you can use your knowledge of intervals from the Songpond beginner lesson series that you will have done to get to this tutorial by counting up each interval. So we know that we need a minor third for the third thing, so we're going to count up 3 half steps, 1, 2, 3. So that's our first and third chord tones. And then to get to our fifth chord tone, we're going to count up another 4 half steps, which is 7 in total from the bottom. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our minor triad, and then we're going to count up another 3 half steps to get our minor seventh. So that's our minor seventh chord there. So you can do that from any point on the keyboard. The last seventh chord we're going to learn here is the minor 7 flat 5 chord. This is the last seventh chord you'll learn in this tutorial. With the addition of this chord, you'll have the vocabulary you need to cover the seventh chords in any major key. As I talked about before, when I was doing the scale of C major, but playing seventh chords, find that within those seventh chords in the scale, there were 4 different types of seventh chords. There was the major seventh chord, the dominant seventh chord, the minor seventh chord, and the minor 7 flat 5 chord, which we're going to learn now. The minor 7 flat 5 chord consists of a minor 7th chord, which we've just learned, but with a flattened 5th chord tone as well. It is made up of a root, a flat third, a flat 5, and a flat 7. The minor 7 flat 5 chord sounds quite unusual, as you can hear, and it may take a while to get used to how they actually sound, but they certainly have their place in harmony. Here is an example of the C minor 7 flat 5 chord. We're going to start on C as the root note, so it's C minor 7 flat 5. We have C is the root note, E flat is the minor third, G flat is the flattened 5th, and B flat is the minor 7th. So to construct that using counting your half steps, remember we count up 3 half steps from the root note, and then we count up another 3 half steps from there to get to our flattened 5th, 1, 2, 3, and then we count another 4 half steps to get to our minor 7th, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's our whole C minor 7 flat 5 chord. Now we're going to go on to the next part of this tutorial where we're going to be looking at the chord symbols that we typically use for 7th chords.